You've heard of unconditional love, but have you heard of the secret to unconditional happiness and allowing more into your life? More wealth, more success, and more love. More freedom in your life right now. Welcome to the Happy Bar with Israel Savage. We've learned in the exercises we've done already today that you can conjure any feeling that you want whenever you want it, right? Just by thinking of a memory, you bring it into your present. Now that works in reverse too, correct? You think of a memory, it brings up a feeling that doesn't feel good, and then that draws to it another similar thought or feeling. Try this. I love this experiment. Most of my learning happens on the subway train. I was on the subway the other day, and this thought popped in my head of someone who dumped me back in college, a relationship. I hadn't thought of it in such a long time. You know, it just popped in my head. It didn't even feel like my thought. You know, it had been so long. Oh, that was weird. But it was a feeling. I was in a place that particular morning where I felt vulnerable, where I felt where I didn't feel powerful. And so, poof, this memory pops into my head that matches the feeling state that I'm in. Same with song lyrics. Sometimes songs will pop in your head that it's not about the lyrics necessarily, but it's about the feeling of the song, how the song makes you feel. And so it works passively in that way. I can say, wow, where did that thought from, and how is it making me feel? Uh-oh, I'd better think a better feeling thought, or I'm going to attract another thought and another thought. And that day went on to unfold, and I had situations that happened around me that put me in a similar feeling place. And so it starts as a thought, and then you attract the memories that line up with that similar feeling place, and then situations and events and people and circumstances. So this idea, have people heard of the law of attraction before? Have you heard? What somebody say what that means to you when you hear it.
The law of attraction is about magnetically being charged personally in how you attract events, circumstances, and people, resources in your life. And that the power to attract various things, such as what I just said, is with you. Mm-hmm. It's with individually, that is, respectively.
Right, great. Somebody say your understanding of the law of attraction in different words, because there's a million ways that we could explain that law of attraction. Yep.
You are what you project. You get back what you project.
Oh, great. So there's a return on your investment, on your emotional or your vibrational investment.
By realizing that there's something that you want and being aware to how it's already there, or allowing it into your life, it just fulfills itself.
If you are attracting to yourself similar feeling things, then if you can put yourself in a feeling state of prosperity, then you're going to attract thoughts, people, places, situations, things that help you to feel prosperous. Does that make sense? Other thoughts on the law of attraction? Anybody want to add?
I was going to say the same thing. Like good, vibrant, happy, positive feelings attract the same. And conversely, the lousy feelings, also bring that back.
Yeah. I can remember times in my life when I thought, wow, gosh, why are all these angry people around me all the time? Just can't get away from them. Seems like wherever I go, And of course, I can tell you, I have a master's in psychology, and I've worked with lots of folks And one of the principles that I've seen play out over and over is that your outside world reflects your inner state or your inner world 100% of the time. If you look at your circumstances, what's happening in your environment, it's a product of what's going on inside you. So as a counselor, as a therapist, that's all I need to hear is your ideas about your outside world. It tells me what's happening internally. Good news is we can change all that, and it's as easy as changing a thought, right? A belief is just a thought you keep thinking. And so we can practice a different habit of thinking. Another way to say that is we can build a different vibrational habit, right? Another way to say that is we can practice a different way of feeling, a way of being, whatever works for you. All right? So when we mixed and mingled before, there were questions that popped up for you. They may or may not have changed, but let's start to create together some questions and answers with this idea of unconditional happiness, this idea of unconditional anything. So anyone who wants to have a seat, come on up and have a seat, and you can ask whatever you want. There's always a first person, so who's going to be that? Yes, there you go. All right, perfect.
Earlier, you were using the analogy of taking a car trip to a lake, and how the car trip is the part that takes longer than the actual time spent at the lake sometimes, and it's more about the journey than the destination. Mm-hmm. But what about journeys towards destinations you don't want to go?
Mm-hmm. Say more about that.
So it's kind of like the inverse. You know, we go chasing goals, and it sounded like you were saying earlier that it's not the accomplishment of the goal that brings us happiness, it's our journey there. Mm-hmm. But what if we are on the road to something that we don't want, or that we're on the road to something that we are trying to avoid, but we're headed there anyway?
Well, what you're talking about, it's the same laws, it's the same rules no matter what. You're talking about the law of attraction and the law of momentum, and I'm so glad that you mentioned this. I was thinking it as we were talking. The law of attraction, the law of momentum doesn't discriminate, right? And so if you have a thing that is not good feeling and it's a practice pattern, then there's momentum that builds there. Now, just like anything that has momentum, once something has momentum, you can't stop it right away. You have to slow it, right? If there's a train, can you imagine a train going 120 miles an hour and then stopping all of a sudden? No, that train has to slow down. And so the thing to remember is that everything is always working out for your good. And by your good, I mean your desires. Whatever it is that you want, you are attaining the things that you need to get you there. Now, sometimes we have resistance in the way. In fact, you always have resistance in the way if you don't have the thing you want now. There's something preventing you from getting there. Get how brilliant you are. Because all this guidance comes from your greater self. So get how brilliant you are. The greater self knows this is where she is, and she's got some rough terrain to go through because she wants to go through the rough terrain. Right? She's got a mountain that she's got to go over because she wants to go over the mountain. But I'm going to get her, but I have programmed in turn-by-turn directions in spite of her resistance. And by resistance, I mean doubt. I mean disbelief. That's what resistance is. I have programmed in spite of all that turn-by-turn directions, that in spite of all these obstacles, she's still going to get there. Now, we get to decide for ourselves, you're going to get there no matter what. We get to decide if the trip is going to be a good feeling one, if it's going to be an enjoyable journey. Like with my kids, when driving them to White Lake, I didn't know what was on the other end, but I made a choice to enjoy the journey, to enjoy driving, to create an enjoyable experience. It could have been miserable getting to White Lake. It has been miserable before. It could have been, and then we would have gotten there, and we would have had 15 minutes at this thing that I thought we wanted. And so either way, I got to White Lake. And the beautiful thing about it is, out of that desire to go to White Lake, once I got there, a new desire was born to do something else the next day because of that journey. So you can't mess it up. You can't get it wrong. You just can't try. You just can't. Your greater self is too smart. What else?
That's it. Thank you.
Yes, great.
If you liked what you just heard, then take inspired action now. That's right, act while you are feeling good. And build on your momentum. Schedule your free discovery call with me at instudios-nyc.com/happybar.